How often do you think about your heart health? Are you aware of the risks of cardiovascular disease? Well, let's dive into the heart of the matter. Cardiovascular diseases, encompassing coronary heart disease and stroke, claim the top spot as the leading cause of death in the United States. Particularly at risk are Blacks and Hispanics in underserved communities. It's a sobering reality, isn't it? But there's good news. Cardiovascular disease is largely preventable. Stay tuned to learn how you can keep your heart beating strong. Heart Smarts, a health program, is here to empower you to live a heart-healthy lifestyle. This program is not just about information, but about transformation. It offers a comprehensive approach to help you understand and achieve heart health. Heart Smarts is committed to reducing the incidence of cardiovascular disease, the leading cause of death in the United States. The program focuses on underserved communities where the risk of heart disease and stroke is greatest. Through education and empowerment, Heart Smarts aims to turn the tide on these statistics. It's a call to action, a call to change, a call to live healthier, longer lives. Heart Smarts is about arming you with the knowledge and tools you need to make heart-smart choices every day. It's about the power of prevention and the promise of a healthier future. Remember, Heart Smarts is not just a program, it's a life-changing journey. It's about taking control of your health, one heartbeat at a time. But don't just take our word for it. Listen to these stories from people who have benefited from Heart Smarts. Imagine being told you're at risk for heart disease, a leading cause of death in the United States. Now picture having the knowledge and tools to combat that risk head-on. For people like Maria, a single mother from an underserved community, Heart Smarts was a beacon of hope. The program informed decisions about her heart health, ultimately reducing her risk of cardiovascular diseases. And then there's John, a middle-aged man who was once a prisoner of his poor lifestyle choices. For him, Heart Smarts was not just a program, but a lifesaver. It opened his eyes to the risks he was taking and gave him the push he needed to commit to a healthier lifestyle. These are not just testimonials, they are life-changing stories. Stories of empowerment, resilience, and triumph over heart disease. These are real stories from real people who have seen the impact of Heart Smarts in their lives. Are you ready to be the next success story? Your heart health is in your hands, and with Heart Smarts, you have the power to make a difference. It's time to take that first step towards a healthier lifestyle, a step that could redefine your future. Heart Smarts is not just an ally, it's a beacon, guiding you to make informed decisions for your heart health. So why wait? The path to a healthier heart is just a click away. You'll find the link to Heart Smarts right down in the description below. Start your journey towards a healthier heart today with Heart Smarts.
Ever wondered why you pick a chocolate ice cream over a strawberry one, or why you choose to sleep in instead of hitting the gym? These seemingly simple choices are actually the result of complex processes happening inside our minds. Welcome to the fascinating world of decision-making psychology. It's a realm where every choice we make, no matter how big or small, shapes our lives and our identities. From the trivial to the life-altering, each decision we make is a reflection of our values, our preferences, and even our subconscious desires. Imagine your mind as a bustling city with information zipping around like cars on a highway. In this city, there are two primary drivers behind the wheel of decision-making: the conscious and the subconscious mind. Our conscious mind is like the city planner. It makes logical, rational decisions based on the information at hand. It's the part of our mind that weighs the pros and cons, that carefully considers each option before making a choice. If you've ever deliberated over a restaurant menu or a shopping list, you've seen your conscious mind in action. On the other hand, we have the subconscious mind, the city's unseen traffic controller. It operates on automatic, making snap decisions based on ingrained patterns and past experiences. It's the part that tells you to pull your hand away from a hot stove or pick a familiar brand at the supermarket. It's the part that makes you choose chocolate ice cream because, as a child, chocolate was your favorite. But here's the thing, these two drivers don't always agree. Sometimes they even conflict. You might consciously know that the gym is good for you, but your subconscious might associate exercise with discomfort. Or you might consciously want to try something new, but your subconscious pulls you towards the familiar. Navigating the city of our minds is no easy task. Every decision we make, every choice we take, is a complex interplay of conscious and subconscious factors. But the more we understand about how we make decisions, the better equipped we are to steer our lives in the direction we want. So, what exactly happens in our brains when we make these decisions? Ever heard of cognitive biases? These are the invisible influencers that steer our decision-making, often without us even realizing it. You could be thinking, not me, I'm a rational decision maker. But hold on, let's unravel some of these biases, and you might be surprised. First up, confirmation bias. This sneaky bias has a knack for reinforcing our existing beliefs. We tend to seek out and favor information that aligns with our views and dismiss anything that contradicts them. So if you're absolutely convinced that cats are far superior to dogs, you're likely to ignore any evidence suggesting otherwise. This bias can cloud our judgment and lead us to make decisions that may not be in our best interest. Next, we have the availability heuristic. This bias is all about what's immediately present in our minds. For example, you might think airplane crashes are more common than they actually are, simply because they get so much media coverage. The easily recalled images of plane crashes might make you choose a 12-hour train journey over a 2-hour flight, even though statistically, you're far more likely to get into a car accident than a plane crash. Let's also talk about the sunk cost fallacy. This bias keeps us stuck in bad decisions because we've already invested time, money, or effort. Ever stayed in a movie theater watching a dull film just because you'd paid for the ticket? That's the sunk cost fallacy in action. And how about the anchoring bias? This one tricks us into heavily relying on the first piece of information we receive, the so-called anchor. If a store advertises a shirt as reduced from $100 to $50, you're likely to consider it a bargain, even if the shirt isn't worth $50 in the first place. So, cognitive biases can often lead us astray. But is there another psychological phenomenon at play here? Welcome to the world of heuristics, our brain's favorite mental shortcuts. In our daily lives, we face countless decisions, and our brain has developed a handy way to deal with all this information. Heuristics. These are mental shortcuts that help us make decisions swiftly, based on past experiences and patterns. They're like the brain's personal navigation system, guiding us through the maze of decision-making. Let's take a closer look at a couple of these mental shortcuts. First up is the representativeness heuristic. This nifty little tool helps us make decisions by comparing the current situation to our mental prototypes. For instance, if you see a person wearing a white coat in a hospital, your brain will likely categorize them as a doctor, even though they could be a nurse, a lab technician, or even just a very fashion-forward patient. Next on the list is the anchoring heuristic. This one's a bit tricky. It's all about how we tend to latch onto the first piece of information we receive, using it as an anchor for our subsequent decisions. Let's say you're buying a used car, and the seller mentions the price they originally paid for it. That number becomes an anchor, influencing how much you're willing to pay, even if the car's actual value is much lower. However, as handy as these shortcuts are, they're not without their pitfalls. They can lead us to make hasty and sometimes inaccurate decisions. For instance, the representativeness heuristic might lead us to make stereotypes, while the anchoring heuristic can make us susceptible to manipulation. But don't worry, our brain is adaptable. By being aware of these heuristics and their potential downsides, we can train ourselves to make better, more informed decisions. Heuristics and biases together paint a pretty complex picture of our decision-making process. But how does our brain process all this information? Imagine our brain as a decision factory, tirelessly processing information to help us make choices. In this factory, two systems are hard at work. Picture System 1 as a quick and nimble worker, leaping into action the moment a decision needs to be made. It's intuitive, instinctive, and doesn't waste time overthinking. It's the one that makes you swerve to avoid a collision without a second thought, or helps you select your favorite ice cream flavor in a split second. It's fast, but it's not always accurate. Then there's System 2, the thoughtful, analytical worker. This one likes to take its time, weighing up all the options, considering every angle. It's the system you engage when you're solving a complex math problem or deciding which house to buy. It's slower, but it's more reliable. These two systems don't operate in isolation. They're constantly interacting, influencing each other. When you're making a decision, both systems are at work, but one may be more dominant than the other. Think of it like a seesaw. On one end is System 1, with its speed and intuition. On the other end is System 2, with its slow and methodical approach. The weight shifts back and forth as you make a decision, depending on the complexity of the decision and the context. For simple, everyday decisions, System 1 usually has the upper hand. But for more complex decisions, System 2 takes over, carefully analyzing the situation. However, it's important to note that neither system is inherently better than the other. They each have their strengths and weaknesses. System 1 can be prone to biases and errors due to its speed, while System 2 can be bogged down by over-analysis. By understanding how these two systems work, we can become more aware of our decision-making processes. We can learn to recognize when we're relying too much on one system and not enough on the other. So our brains are quite the decision-making machines, but can we improve this process? Now that we understand the psychology behind decision-making, can we use this knowledge to make better decisions? The answer is a resounding yes. Let's dive into some practical tips to improve our decision-making process. First, let's talk about biases. We all have them, whether we're aware of them or not. They're like invisible strings pulling us towards certain decisions. But awareness is the first step towards breaking free from these strings. So make a conscious effort to recognize your biases. Are you leaning towards a particular option because it's familiar, or dismissing another because it's outside your comfort zone? Challenge these tendencies. Question your initial reactions. This can help you make more balanced and thoughtful decisions. Next, take your time with big decisions. Our brains love shortcuts, as we've learned, but not every decision should be made in a snap. For those choices that carry significant weight, slow down. Give your brain the time it needs to process all the information. Sleep on it if you have to. A fresh mind can often bring new insights. Then seek diverse perspectives. No man is an island, as they say. Our decisions shouldn't be isolated either. Different perspectives can help us see things we might have missed, challenge our biases, and offer fresh ideas. So don't hesitate to seek advice or opinions from others. But remember, ultimately, the decision is yours. Use these perspectives to inform your decision, not dictate it. Lastly, embrace mistakes. They're not failures, but learning opportunities. Each misstep brings you one step closer to making better decisions. So, don't be too hard on yourself when things don't go as planned. Reflect on what went wrong, learn from it, and move forward. With these tools in hand, you're ready to tackle your future decisions with a newfound understanding. So